Hi guys, it's Holly here and welcome to the Strong Women podcast. The aim of this podcast is to interview strong women from all walks of life and take key learnings from their personal experiences. Now, by saying strong, I don't exclusively mean strong physically. I'll be talking to women who are strong mentally, emotionally, or simply women who have overcome odds throughout their lives. The key themes in each episode will be around fitness, mental health, and business. I truly hope their stories inspire you and encourage you, and equally I hope you can take away valuable pieces of advice to practice in your own lives. Today's guest is Lisa Smosarski, the editor-in-chief of the award-winning women's weekly Stylist Magazine. Launched in September 2009, Stylists is the first freemium magazine for women. As editor, she's seen Stylist win more than 50 industry awards and now oversees all of Stylist platforms, including digital and video. Previously, Lisa had been editor of More, Bliss and Smash Hits magazine. Lisa's had an incredible career in media and she's so inspirational with quite possibly the coolest job at present. She's been with Stylist from the very beginning and her passion shines through. I was so very lucky to manage to sneak some time from her, and as a huge fan of Stylist Magazine, I was completely in awe of their headquarters. What I love about Stylist is that they manage to hold their feminist values true while still feeling very relatable and current. I hope this podcast helps any budding journalists out there, although you've very little chance of getting Lisa's job, she's going nowhere. If you enjoy the podcast, please do let us know by leaving us a review or by sharing with your friends and followers. Okay guys, so I am here at the Stylist headquarter with Lisa Smosarski. Hello Lisa.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're really welcome, thanks for having me.
So we are going to start with a quick fire round, which isn't always that quick fire.
Okay.
But the first question is your favourite book and why?
Atonement, which I probably might say for film as well. Why? Oh, I don't know. There's something about the romance and the kind of terrible altered perspective of a child's eye view of life and the innocence, but also the terrible damage that one slight misunderstanding can make. But it's really beautifully written. It's set in a really beautiful period. And it's just a really sad story. I quite like a weepy, actually, I have to say. Also, when I answer this, sometimes I say, I read this book once on remote viewing, which is so not like me. It's called Tracks in the Psychic Wilderness. I'm very, very science, but for some reason this book really captured my imagination. And it's non-fiction, but it was looking at how in the Cold War armies were using their telepathy, basically, to try and communicate. It's slightly flawed, but there's some interesting things in it. But I was so fascinated, like completely captured my imagination. So if I was feeling more kind of out there, I might say that as well.
They're very polar kind of
They're really opposites, which might say a lot about my personality, actually.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
You're not an ambulance driver, nobody dies. And that was really about work and stress. And it was an old editor of mine, a woman called Sarah Kramer, who is brilliant and was a fantastic mentor to me. But she said, I was very young when I got my first editorship at 25 and I went to Smash Hits. And that was her piece of advice as I left. It was that and get a nodding dog, one of those toy nodding dogs, because at least somebody agrees with you. So I remember those two things so well.
Very practical.
And actually, that does sit with me, because I think when we're getting a bit overwhelmed, a bit stressed, and you go, we're actually making a magazine or a website or a video, and it's easy to lose perspective. But actually, we've got the good jobs, we've got the exciting times of total privilege, and I think it always puts it into perspective.
I like that, especially given that for people listening, I've just spent the last 10 minutes trying to get my laptop to work.
So cool.
What's your morning routine, or do you have a morning routine?
Well, I guess, it's fairly manic, to be honest. So my alarm generally, I love to snooze, like really, really love to snooze. It's like a little treat in the morning. So today my alarm went off at 6:10, but I got up at 6:30. Little kind of cozy, comfy bit in between. I can't just jump out of bed. I'm not one of those people. And then I literally will get up, head straight to the shower, go make a cup of tea, try and sneak around before my kids wake up and get the first sort of leg of getting ready. Very quick makeup, like 5-minute makeup. Just dodging people. I'm just trying to do this in silence. I'm really not a morning person, so I don't like talking. My husband will say, "How did you sleep?" And I'm like, don't talk to me. He's like, "That's rational."
Good then. Yeah.
And then I sort of like wake up a bit, and then the kids get up, and it's just total mayhem. So it's sort of managing getting them getting up. But my husband's very good, and he takes them off to school. So I generally leave the house about 7:45, 8 o'clock. I have to get a bus and a tube to work. So I do my emails generally on the way in, which is the thing I hate most about my routine. Like I want to listen to podcasts or read books or catch up on the news or do something for myself, and I never do. I just do emails.
Yeah.
Have breakfast at work when I get in. And that's it. And I've probably had about 10 cups of tea by the time I
Sounds like you need it as well. I think sometimes we know what we're supposed to be doing, but actually in reality, if you're reading your emails on the way to work means that when you get in, you're less stressed or you're more, you know what you're going to deal with.
Well, it's a shift for me. There's a real shift between home and work. And then in the evenings, again, I haven't nailed this, but that's the sort of re-gearing, getting back into work, thinking about what I should be doing. And actually, I do have a lot of meetings, so I'm not at my desk very much, and my inbox is like my nemesis.
Yeah, yeah.
So any time I can actually try and beat my nemesis is a good thing.
I think that's fair enough. And then what does strong look like to you?
What does strong? Someone who knows their own mind and who they are and isn't easily swayed. So I think, funnily enough, I don't ever think about strong as physical strength. I know that's perhaps a bit strange, and maybe what I do as well, because it's all about meeting these amazing, incredible, inspiring women. But certainly strength of character, conviction, and not always going with the group, but being, knowing your own mind, I think is incredibly powerful and strong.
There's one last one, and this is one word. How would you sum up your job in one word that's not actually just the description of your job title?
I want to say busy, but that is such a cliche that I feel like I'm letting everyone down. Inspiring.
Nice, I like it. So in your own words, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
So I am the editor-in-chief of Stylist. I have the lucky job of overseeing our print publication, website, videos and social media. So all the content that you see from the Stylist brand. So that means coming up with great ideas and working with the team to make them happen, either just on one of the platforms or all the platforms. Thinking about new ways to talk to our audience and reach our audience. And it's generally from the big nice stuff is all very creative and interesting and about meeting great people, and then there's loads of management as well, because I manage a team of almost 30 to 40 people, so actually it's a job like any other in lots of ways, because it's about budgets, it's about HR, it's about how do you lead a team, and then on the flip side, obviously creating these brilliant, exciting products that we put out every day.
So did you start off in sort of from a journalist point of view or editor point of view before?
Yeah, I was a junior writer on Bliss Magazine. That was my very first job, which is for teenage girls, and it was an amazing first job. I was very, very lucky. I got it the day that I handed my dissertation in, so I literally walked straight out of university, having not even really fully finished actually into this job, and never looked back actually. So I worked as a writer for the first few years in various positions, as an entertainment director doing celeb things, and then went into editing, as I said, at Smash Hits at 25, and then I've edited a few publications since then. So I've really been an editor far more than anything else. But I do love writing as well. So I do like when I get the rare opportunity to still keep my hand in.
I was going to say, I guess the more senior you get, sometimes the further away from actually getting to do writing.
Oh, yeah. And I feel, I mean, to be honest, it's been so long now since I did that as my day job that it just feels like a real privilege when I get to do it now. And it's funny. So I think, for, like most people, the job you get into isn't necessarily the one that you end up in. But God, I mean, I'm fully grateful for that. I love being an editor, and you know, I love making decisions. I love the ideas process. I love creating something. So yeah, it's definitely in my comfort zone, I have to say.
And lots of people will know what Stylist is, but to anyone who maybe, because it's not available outside of London.
It is actually, yeah. So we have a free weekly magazine for intelligent women. It's basically life through a feminist lens. So we tend to, when we launched it, really, the idea was to create a magazine that was for the reader only. So it wasn't talking about your partner, it wasn't talking about your children, it was really just about you and the issues that you face. So what I wanted an issue of this weekly magazine to be was really like a conversation that you would have with your friends over a bottle of wine at night. So the fact that as women and as career women, we will talk about our jobs, might talk about a promotion or a pay rise or some office politics, might talk about a party or a wedding we're going to and what we're going to wear, might talk about politics and a big headline that we've seen that day. And we might talk about something we're thinking or feeling or how we're behaving or something that's going on in our lives but to do with us. And really every issue should encapsulate that. So it's sort of an interest in the world around us, but also in understanding ourselves a bit better as well.
Yeah, I think the balance is amazing, because we were talking off podcast earlier on, but it's feminist, but it doesn't feel aggressive, and it still touches on beauty, but in a you don't have to look amazing all the time kind of way. And then there's also the headlines that are in there. And I think, do you think that's where the success of Stylist has been? Because magazines are struggling, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I think it's funny. It's funny that you even ask it, I suppose, because it suggests a lot about what people think about the word feminism and the negative connotations of being a feminist, which suggests an angry feminist, or that you've got to, you have to look or behave a certain way to be a feminist. So when we launched Stylist, funny enough, I would go out and would go to the industry and say, we're launching this magazine and it's feminist, but with a lowercase f, because I was trying to suggest that, I mean, I don't even know what that means, but trying to suggest that it wasn't the angry feminist. Yeah. But I was like, we are smart women who are working hard, and all we want is to be treated equally. For me, that's being a feminist. Now, it doesn't give anyone the right to dictate what I look like, what I wear, whether I love makeup, whether I hate makeup. Like, all of these things are personal choice. Being a feminist is about having those choices and having the right to make them.
Hi guys, sorry to interrupt this podcast. I wanted to mention that if you're enjoying this episode, I'd really appreciate a review of it once you've finished listening. You can do this on my website, on SoundCloud, or on iTunes. Furthermore, why not share it with all your friends and your family on social media? Let's spread the strong women ethos as far and wide as possible. Now back to the podcast. I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode.
For me, it was just about, if you just want to own those rights, then you're a feminist. So that's the principle of which we apply to stylists. So yeah, we love fashion and beauty, as as many women do. I mean, as long as you're doing it for yourself, not for others, then that's a brilliant thing.
Okay. And so what did you study at university then?
Journalism.
Okay.
I very much had my eye on the game.
This has been like the perfect career path. So there will be people listening who are interested in getting into journalism, but maybe find it's quite an intimidating industry now. What would your advice be?
Well, I guess it's hard. I guess if you're still at the choice of making education decisions, I mean, I don't think you have to do a journalism degree. I knew what I wanted to do. A lot of people don't. Lots of people do postgrads or top-up courses to learn the basic rules of journalism, which are useful, actually. But as is real-life experience, it's writing, broadcast, creating videos, doing podcasts, creating blogs, whatever, just getting some sort of experience, or creating fanzines, writing for your uni publication, just any kind of experience is really incredibly valuable, and then getting out and interning and meeting people. Now, I had no connections, so funnily enough, it's always been hard to get into, and I was just a little bit naive and just had this blind ambition. And I had this conversation with my mum really recently where she said, I didn't really want to break it to you that it was going to be really hard for you to get into that industry, because you just seemed so dead set on it and you wouldn't listen to anyone. And I apparently, my first day at work, I said, it was really, really good, Mum, but a lot of people are very posh. And she was like, sure, okay, that's what we thought. So I don't know. A lot of people had been introduced by connections or the who you know rather than what you know, and that wasn't the route for me. So I genuinely think if you want it enough, then and you're prepared to put some hard work in, then you will get it. I think if you want career change, which is perfectly valid as well, and certainly there's huge opportunities in taking a previous skill set or expertise and applying that to journalism, because unique areas of expert journalism are really valuable. So on my course, when I was studying, there were solicitors and lawyers who were retraining as journalists and end up working in legal publications. So, there's real value to that as well. But again, for me, it's about get experience, feel confident, know your market.
Yeah.
Just try and get as many opportunities as you can to write.
Because you want proof, basically, that they're good writers.
Well, also, it's experience. You learn, the more you write, the more you learn.
You find your voice.
What people engage with. Yeah, you find your voice. And also, I think it does just show that enthusiasm to a future employer that actually, although you may not be in that world, you've got so much drive that you're doing it because you're passionate and excited about it.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, have you ever seen those memes where it says, like, what my friends think I do, what my husband thinks I do? So, as an editor,
I really do lie down and eat cheese. Yeah,
go on Facebook all day. So, if we're talking about your job, what do you think that everyone else thinks that you do?
I think they think it's incredibly glamorous, I have to say, and at times it really is. But yeah, I think perpetuated by Anna Wintour, The Devil Wears Prada, and those sort of ideas of what an editor is. It's very sort of sweeping in, glamorous, lovely lunches, manicured celebrities, and generally being gifted things,
free clothes,
free things. Yeah. So there are elements of that. So I'm not going to say none of that exists. Now, certainly small amounts of that exist, and I feel so incredibly lucky when I find myself in those moments. It's also very long days, a lot of meetings. I mean, people laugh because I don't sit down at my desk all day. I literally fly back to back to back.
Yeah.
Meetings, they could be planning meetings, budget meetings. Obviously, when I was doing purely print, it was a lot of proofreading, editing, actual getting into the copies. So you're still very hands-on in all those elements. And, you just sit. I sit in an open plan office, so I sit with everyone else. I do get some nice things sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm very, very lucky to have that. And really amazing opportunities to go to places or to meet people that I wouldn't get if I didn't have this job. And that is a total privilege, and I'm fully aware of that, but it's not an average day.
All of that. It's good for you though, because you've got this gorgeous office space where people can come to you, but I sometimes laugh because my husband works for me, with me, however you want to word it, and we have an office at home, and it's just a big long desk that we both sit at, and my husband will say, like, oh, we need to talk about the finances, or we need to talk about how much we're going to spend on marketing, and I'll be like, put it in my diary, book a meeting in. And people don't believe that we do actually sit and have meetings, even though it's just us two. Cup of tea, Stuart. So yeah. And then, so what's the future for Stylists then? Because print is changing so quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think, it's no secret that it is tough in print at the moment, across the board, and that landscape has changed so much, and we're 10 this year, and actually we'll look at the magazine market when we launched versus where we've got to now. But Stylist has been incredibly lucky because we decided to do something differently 10 years ago, and that was, we could see this trend that people didn't want to buy or pay for a print product in perhaps in the way. So it wasn't that they were engaging, it was just that they didn't want to change their journey, they didn't want a slow form of print journalism necessarily, so frequency was quite important. But then also values and what you stand for. And I think the problem with the print newsstand is that it got incredibly competitive and then very homogenised, so there didn't seem to be much choice. So as a woman, and particularly in our demographic, you sort of went, well, I just don't see anything that's for me, it's not talking to me. And we deliberately went against the grain and tried to do something differently. So for us, we've been incredibly lucky to have real stability in our print magazine. So, that still continues to go from strength to strength, which is great. And still the number one complaint we get is, I can't find a copy of Stylist anywhere.
That's me, basically.
So actually that's brilliant. And so nice to hear. And that, I hope that comes a lot from listening to what our audience say and what they want from the magazine as well. But in terms of brand, we have just grown and grown, I guess, over those 9 years, 10 years as well. So, that's diversifying onto different platforms. Like our video team probably came to us about 18 months ago. We hired this brilliant team, which allowed us to start creating a video version, a TV version of Stylists. Stylist Live, our huge exhibition that we do once a year in the autumn, which is really about bringing the magazine to life in a physical space so you can engage it. Launched 5 years ago. So we've always looked at these different opportunities, and this year we're looking at moving into a fitness brand and space. And we've got a big awards coming up in March as well. So we're just looking at new ways to engage with our audience all the time, and for them to experience the Stylist brands or engage with the Stylist brand in different ways, and hopefully in their space. So we always try and come to you or create spaces that you want to come to, rather than just sort of broadcasting at you in the corner.
I think staying current, isn't it? Just constantly, because it is changing so quickly, making sure that you're ahead of that.
I think so. And it's the beauty of being, we're a small company. So, there's actually, which is quite unusual in terms of big consumer brands, media brands. So that gives us speed, which is a real advantage, and the ability to make change very quickly.
Yeah.
And actually that's really worked for us as well. It's quite entrepreneurial feel.
And so you have 3 children. You are the editor of Stylist Magazine.
Yes.
How do you juggle and manage that?
I do not. That's how I do it.
I like your honesty.
It's really hard, and I worry sometimes that I give a false impression that it's really easy, because it's really not. And God, I'm so lucky, aren't I, to have a big family and to have an amazing job that, I do feel eternally so lucky for that. But it is really hard, and I get really tired, and I've tried so many ways to make it work, and I probably still haven't found it. So, I'll feel guilty about not being at home. I feel guilty about not being at work. Sometimes I work a 4-day week. In the office, obviously I do, but plenty from home as well. And this is it, it's the bits that you don't see behind the scenes that carry on as well. But they are all choices I've made, so I've tried to make that work for the best. And, the kids really do really understand. Although my 2-year-old said this morning, no work, mummy, no work. So, maybe she's cottling onto it as well. But it's really hard, and actually I don't have a nanny. I have a really supportive partner who does a lot of the kind of drop-offs and pick-ups, and his mum's fantastic. So it's the kind of idea of it takes a village, it's really about the support that you can get around you. I wouldn't, doing it on your own would be a very different, unimaginable, actually, perspective. But again, that they are choices that I have made. I've chosen to have 3 children, and I've chosen to keep going with a busy job, and I'm really grateful I get that opportunity. It's that wouldn't have been the case necessarily that long ago that I would have had that opportunity. So I'm keen to try and make it work, but I really haven't nailed it. Or I'm often quite tired, but I don't know, I think a bit of enthusiasm, energy, positivity goes a long way, and you kind of just got to keep trying. The thing that I found very early on was that I thought with my first child, I was like, I've got this sorted now. You know, I had my childcare sorted, had how the days worked and the hours. And what I didn't really account for was that kids change all the time, and their needs and their behaviours and where they are and their logistics. So the bit I had to think about and to learn about was that I had to be more flexible and fluid. So I like things to be very ordered, organised, sorted, and like a plan to just play out. And actually I just had to be far more flexible, and also to go probably every 6 months I'm going to have to rethink this and look at what it's going. Now I've got 2 in school, and it's even this morning on the bus I was like, you know, signing up for after school clubs, checking in, sorting out childcare logistics. That will change in 3 months again. Yeah. So it's a movable feast, and their demands and their needs change all the time as well. So I think flexibility is everything, and I think that's sometimes where we all struggle, because we try and put rigidity around it. And just, kids don't work like that.
No. And I guess you wouldn't have it any other way. We interviewed someone called Laura Bingham, who's an explorer. She's married to Ed Stafford. And I was asking her about, you know, balancing, they've got a boy. And she was saying, the thing is, I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't going off and doing these expeditions. And at the end of the day, your kids just want you to be happy. Yeah. So, you know, you just do what you need to do, don't you?
I think so. And also, wow, what an amazing parent to have.
Yeah, exactly.
How much richer is your life as a child, and like how in awe of that parent would you be? I mean, what an incredible thing. And I think, you know, I love it when the kids always come down to Stylist Live. You're a bit like, look what Mummy did. I didn't do it all. So I'll just take this glory for 5 minutes. Yeah, but it's an amazing thing, and it's great to show them that, you know, and you know what, I hope that's really inspiring for them in the long run, and that they get a work ethic which is about hard work and about investing time in the things that matter.
Yeah, and seeing a mum who is nailing it at work and, you know, has a career, and not thinking that it's only daddy that can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's essential, and absolutely it is essential. And it's funny because people will sometimes, I've got 2 boys and a girl, and people will often say, what are the lessons you teach your daughter? And I was like, she'll be fine. It's the boys I'm interested in. Because actually, you know, all the unconscious bias drip into them really quickly. You know, they'll talk about the doctor as a man. The things that I always was so sure my kids would never do. So actually, I'm really keen to show them what you can be and what the women in their lives will be like. So, poor boys.
Well, I feel it's only fair to ask you this question because I know that you ask this in your work life feature. If you weren't doing this job, what would be your backup job?
I have been asked this before. I've got 2 answers, I think. So one would be a social psychologist, because I absolutely love human behaviour and why we do what we do. And actually, you'll notice it forms lots of stylist features, because I'm just so fascinated by the minutiae and why we think like we think, and the evolutionary biology. So love all of that. So probably that, but I'd have to massively retrain. Or I'd have a petting zoo, because I just sort of love the idea of being outdoors with lots of animals. So, you know, very extreme.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, not at all. Thank you for having me.
Do you have any final bits of wisdom for anyone who is listening to this and thinking, God, I wish I had her job? How can they have your job?
How can I have a job? You can't. I'm going nowhere. Sorry.
Or if you were going to hire someone at Stylist, what would you be looking for? Just lots of experience. So
experience is obviously really important in the whichever job or whichever discipline that you're going for. But in terms of other assets, I mean, I love people with energy, positivity. You know, my big mantra at work is about being kind, because I think it actually goes a long way, and that's how we should work together. So I do really look for those facets in people as well. But just knowing it, being passionate about the publication, and just having lots of ideas about, you know, what you would do and how to make it brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.